It's Valentine's Day, 1995. Hole, led by their frontwoman Courtney Love, are preparing for their MTV Unplugged performance. In the first half, the show's repertoire appears to be pretty regular. The band goes through their recent hits, some new material, and a few covers, an arrangement that has become an MTV Unplugged formula by this point. But then, Love makes a special announcement.
Right, this song Kurt wrote last song almost.
What follows is one of the most interesting covers in history, with Love carefully cutting and altering lyrics written by Cobain in order to preserve what's left of her public image following Kurt's death. To understand Love's changes, we need to start where the song itself started. You Know You're Right is often considered Kurt Cobain's last song. While that isn't technically correct, as Cobain would write and record numerous homemade demos between the recording of You Know You're Right and his eventual suicide, You Know You're Right stands as Kurt's final studio recording. You Know You're Right started as one of those demos, as the original version was created by Cobain sometime in 1993. However, the studio version makes significant alterations to the original demo, restructuring it and completely revamping the lyrics. It was recorded on the 30th of January 1994 in Seattle, Washington, Nirvana's final studio session before Cobain's suicide less than 3 months later. They had the studio booked for 3 days, but Cobain failed to show up for the first 2, leaving Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic to work on their own songs. Finally, Kurt showed up on the third and final day the trio had in the studio. Kurt seemed enthusiastic to perform, but he had arrived without his gear, leaving him to use whatever equipment was available. The band rehearsed You Know You're Right only 3 times before they decided they had the song figured out. Kurt recorded a single take of the vocals, 2 vocal overdubs, and a guitar overdub before leaving the studio, abandoning Grohl and Novoselic to work on their own projects. Unfortunately, due to Kurt's passing soon after the session, the song would remain unreleased for almost a decade, finally coming out in 2002 on the Nirvana Greatest Hits album. According to Grohl and Novoselic, the final released version was not significantly different than the version recorded by Kurt that day in Seattle. With the song being completed so close to Cobain's death, it isn't surprising that a lot of the lyrics tie directly into the events that followed. Most of the song is pretty explicit about Kurt's state of mind at the time. The lyrics read like a suicide note in musical form, featuring a recurring motif of leaving everything behind. With lines like the repeated "I will move away from here" and "I will crawl away for good," Kurt insinuates that leaving those he knows behind isn't enough. He's going to leave forever. At the height of his fame, he expresses a desire to disappear. He wishes to be forgotten, telling his audience, "Let's talk about someone else." Kurt never truly enjoyed being famous. From interviews with those close to him, it's clear that Nirvana's growing success made Cobain paranoid. He didn't want to be talked about, he didn't want to be thought about. He just wanted to make music and have people analyze the music itself. And the increasing spotlight on him as he became a staple of the grunge scene seemed to have strengthened his already present depressive tendencies. At the point of writing this, Kurt was tired of fame. Despite all of the success his career had gotten him, he was still feeling like a failure, an emotion likely heightened by the fact that he was always in the public eye. This is something he voices specifically in the repeated "I have never failed to fail," which is preceded by "things have never been so swell," a sarcastic remark acknowledging that he shouldn't feel the way he does at the point of his life that he's in. The only option left for Kurt is to disappear in the only way that is permanent, something he had been thinking about since he was a teenager, backed up by all of his notebooks from throughout the years. In his words, he always knew it would come to this. An extremely pessimistic outlook, but one that would become prophetic just over 2 months later, as all of the money and fame couldn't stop his mental decline and the eventual taking of his own life. Interestingly, most of the song is written with second-person pronouns. It isn't just an outward expression of Kurt's mental state, it is addressed to a specific person, one that he clearly doesn't have the best relationship with. With repeated lines like, "I will never bother you," and the titular, "You know you're right," Kurt clearly feels like his mere presence is a bother, a nuisance to the person he's talking to. Dying is presented as something that would appease them, the only option that would finally end their tumultuous relationship and free both of them. Ironically, while the entire song seems to be setting up Kurt's suicide, even Kurt seems to be aware of the lack of effect his suicide would have on the person he's talking to. He presents them as completely apathetic to his struggles, something he acknowledges in "Nothing really bothers her, she just wants to love herself." Kurt's depressed state has made him feel worthless and like death is the only way out. His entire final song is a passive-aggressive suicide note signed to the person who contributed to his mental state the most. However, they are too self-obsessed to care about whether he lives or dies at all, making his message to them pointless. Anyone even mildly familiar with Nirvana's history knows that the person Kurt is talking about is Courtney Love, his wife at the time. The last years of his life were stuck in a self-destructive relationship with Love, one that would end up dragging both of them to places lower than they had started. Their 2 years together would lead to both of them delving deeper into heroin addiction, and Kurt falling deeper into depression. A large part of this stemmed from the contrast between Cobain's primary desires and what the relationship ended up being. Kurt's primary goal was always starting a family. He wanted something he never had growing up. And while this seemed possible at first, with him and Love having a daughter together, Kurt's ideal life would soon fall apart. The fact that the pair lived their lives followed by a flock of paparazzi would make raising a happy family incredibly difficult. Their drug habits, mental instability, and Courtney's infidelity to Kurt would make it impossible. The dissolution of Kurt's idea of the perfect family unit was likely the final straw that broke him, and seemed to have been the seed for "You Know You're Right." While the studio version discussed only hints at Love's involvement in Kurt's suicide, an earlier version of the song places Love center stage, making Kurt's feelings towards her at this point in time crystal clear. Despite the song never being released, it was performed in concert exactly once, on the 23rd of October 1993. The band was supposed to close the concert with All Apologies, and Dave Grohl introduced the song on stage. However, Kurt started playing "You Know You're Right" unprompted. The rest of the band followed along, resulting in the first and only public performance of the song. The set was recorded, and the song quickly leaked to fans across the globe. This version was referred to by fans as "On a Mountain," stemming from audiences mishearing Grohl's All Apologies due to the recording's poor audio quality. While this performance kept the chorus of the repeated "Pain" and "You Know You're Right," the rest of the lyrics are drastically different from the studio version. A loss of faith in love is placed center stage with lines such as "I just don't need to love again, I don't think it's worth it." Much of the song is explicitly directed at Courtney Love, from references to the way her behavior hurts him with "It's the way love hurts, it's the way you're mad again," to plainly stating that he's lost feelings for Courtney with "I don't really love her, I don't think I want her." Kurt makes his intentions to leave her clear with the repeated "I don't think I want her," doubling down on that with "I don't think I'll miss her." Interestingly, Cobain makes no references to suicide in this version, only expressing his intentions to leave Courtney Love. This direct comparison shows the degradation of Kurt's mental health during the last few months of his life. While leaving Courtney seemed like a plausible solution in October, he seems to have pivoted to suicide as his only resort mere months later. Even though references to Courtney are much scarcer in the studio release, it's hard to argue against Courtney being the primary contributor to his eventual suicide. With the time delay between the two versions and Kurt's death being so short, his opinion on his relationship is unlikely to have changed. Courtney might not have killed Kurt herself, but her betrayal led to his downfall. We are back to present day, in this case the 14th of February 1995. Courtney was a very controversial figure following Kurt's death. While she was already disliked by Nirvana fans before, she was now the primary target of their hate. She was accused of countless things, ranging from her behavior contributing to Kurt's suicide to Courtney having killed Kurt herself. In light of that, choosing to perform a song written by the late Cobain was an incredibly insensitive move. So many of Kurt's final songs focus on his failing relationship with Love and the ways she had betrayed him. Yet Love didn't have any problems with exploiting his death for another hit of fame, profiting off the worst moments of their relationship. But more insulting than the choice to perform a Nirvana song were the alterations she had made to it. It's important to note that she specifically introduces this song as one Kurt had written, meaning that what she is singing is supposed to be coming from his perspective. Every change she makes isn't designed to mold the song into her point of view. It puts words into Cobain's mouth and misrepresents his mindset at the time. Love uses that strategy to remove or tone down any lines that point to Cobain's suicidal ideation or his desire to leave her. In the song's first verse, she changes the line "I will crawl away for good" to "I will move away from here," reinterpreting Kurt's desire to disappear into a desire to get away and start anew. She replaces the line "I have never failed to fail" with "I have never felt so well," quite literally the opposite of Kurt's original intention. This change has a ripple effect, altering the meaning of the line preceding it too. The original song's "Things Have Never Been So Swell" is sarcastic, pointing to Cobain's guilt over feeling like a failure and a bother despite being at the high point of his career. The same line in Love's song can be treated as genuine, portraying Kurt's state of mind as positive now that the contrast with the line following it has been removed. The trend continues throughout most of the song, removing any expressions of Kurt's negative emotions in the last moments of his life, and replacing them with neutral or even positive lyrics. Furthermore, Love changes the way she herself is mentioned in the song. Any mentions of her are reworked to no longer imply blame. The line mentioned before pointing to Courtney's self-obsession has been changed. "Nothing really bothers her" has been removed entirely, likely because it would have been an insensitive line in light of Kurt's suicide. But more importantly, she removed any lines between "let's talk about someone else" and "she just wants to love herself." The meaning of both of these is now entirely different. While the former initially referred to Cobain's desire to be forgotten, now it comes across as Cobain defending Courtney from the harassment received by his fans, showing his commitment to her. The line that follows is now drastically different too. "She just wants to love herself" is no longer a criticism of her narcissism. It comes across as celebrating her self-love. The lyric is not pointing to one of Courtney's flaws anymore. It's positive reinforcement towards her. Lines that connect his desire to die with his conflicting feelings towards his wife now point to neither. "Never speak a word again" now becomes "if I say that word again." It isn't Kurt frustrated with Courtney anymore, it is him blaming himself for their situation. The simplest but still very effective change is the repeated change of the word "will" to "would." Kurt's words now come across as much less fatalistic. They aren't promises to leave his wife for good, they simply express desire to treat her better. These changes might seem irrelevant individually, but together they change the meaning of the entire song. The small changes come together to relinquish any blame for Kurt's suicide placed on Courtney in the original song. While you can argue that some of these changes came from the controversy of singing about his recent suicide, I think this move was a lot more intentional. If Love just wanted to sing one of Kurt's songs due to the performance taking place on Valentine's Day, Nirvana had plenty of other hits on offer, many of them portraying love a lot better than "You Know You're Right." Yet, She deliberately chose "You Know You're Right." This cover was a PR move for Courtney. As the target of the bulk of the controversy surrounding Kurt Cobain's death, she uses this song to alter the public's perception of her. The key to the reason this song was selected is precisely due to it being unreleased at the time. This gave Love the freedom to alter the lyrics as much as she wanted. The audience would be none the wiser. By getting her version of the song out years before Nirvana did, she managed to have her song as the official version for some time, misinforming audiences about Kurt's true feelings towards her and turning his cry for help into a vague love song directed at her. The entire song is a lie. It is Courtney Love engaging in a deliberate misinformation campaign in an attempt to clear her name. A lie that would stand uncorrected for close to a decade.